Hello and welcome to a surprise review for the Jackal Onyx, Motiv's new heavy oil monster that releases on January the 8th. Help me say thanks to Brett Spangler for reaching out and offering to provide one for a review for all of you. So thanks Motiv, Brett, and whoever put a bug in his ear to get the ball rolling. As always, to get started, if you're a new viewer, I'm a longtime Pro Shop guy and I've uploaded nearly 2,000 videos with the goal of helping you know what you're buying so that you can waste less money and enjoy bowling more. We are, of course, at Royal Crest Lanes in Lawrence, Kansas, on the Kegel Chromium Challenge pattern, 42 feet, 25.5 mils. The graph is linked in the description if you want more details. There's a lot to talk about here. For one, my audio for the live comm had issues, so I won't have that this time. I did bowl nearly 8 games testing this one out, though, so a lot of rambling and repeating myself anyway, no big loss there. I will cover it all in the review, though. Asymmetric Predator V2 core from the Jackal series in this one, of course. Low 247 RG, high 054 differential, and a medium 015 int diff and 15 pounds. So strong, heavy rolling core with a decent amount of torque, but nothing crazy. Leverage HXC Solid is the cover at 1000 grit, which is where it's at for testing. It didn't touch the surface. So very strong cover with a very dull finish. This is a stronger version of the cover from the Evoke and the Sub-Zero Forge, which is Leverage MXC. So we're basically talking stronger Sub-Zero with some asymmetric torque or stronger Evoke. So heavy, long pattern ball to a T. It also has the Duramax additive, which significantly slows down lane shining. That's partially why I bowled so many games, and I got both before and after photos that I'll show later in the video. Now, this is my first Jackal, so I can't say from experience exactly how it compares, but Jackals have been around for a long time. I've drilled dozens for other people. I have plenty of friends and contacts that are either Motiv staffers or company diehards, and I'd like to think I've got pretty good eyes anyway. Now, my take on the Onyx is that it's not as early and smooth as the Ambush, definitely stronger but slower than the Ghost, and it seems to be somewhat similar to the Jackal Legacy. I'm assuming probably stronger though. The Coercion cover base is strong too, but the different versions have varied quite a bit, like the Leverage cover base, so it really depends on what version we're talking about, but I think we're in similar territory there. The shape is similar to the Legacy as well, somewhere between the rounder shape of the Evoke and the more archy shape of something like a Venom Shock, so I'd say this is the most familiar or typical reaction shape for a Jackal line ball, or like when I think Jackal, this looks and feels like what I think of. It starts reading the lane as soon as it touches down, very strong and heavy rolling, hits the mid lane really hard, and this is a ball review, I can't forget to say mid lane, but it does really pick up and stabilize early before having a balanced finish on the back end. I played around with it quite a bit. I could get it to pick up harder and pop more down lane if I wanted to, but I could get it to really blend too with just some minor physical adjustments. It tended towards being smooth though, of course. I mean, a big, strong, heavy oil ball, so it's going to want to be early and smooth. But it's not super, super early and smooth like a Gem or a Jackal Ambush. I think it's more an Ion Max territory, so right between the Jackal Ambush and Jackal Ghost. So not Ambush, early and chuggy, but not Ghost, clean and responsive. Motiv has a fantastic section on the ball page of their website, which is linked below to help you figure out how the ball would fit for you. I think generally speaking, if you're on a house shot, it needs to be an oily house shot. You need to have higher speed and or a lower rev rate, or the surface needs some adjusting, maybe all of the above. I'm kind of rev and speed matched, and it's a bit too much for me on this pattern out of the box, so it would also be too much for me on the house shot, but with a little shine it might look pretty nice. It's a heavy oil ball, so regardless of how you throw it, it's going to be happiest on volume. Might still be too strong for lower speeds or heavier hands, but again, the nice blend of traction and control is going to help it out for the majority of bowler styles and games on wetter conditions. If you like my jersey, by the way, CoolWick has all kinds of ball-themed jerseys, probably have one soon for the Onyx, but I just so happened to get this Sub-Zero Forge-themed jersey a couple weeks ago, as well as the Evoke one, which looks really cool too. Code ROSEALL10 at checkout will knock 10% off of one of those. Same discount code for 3D printed ball cups and spinners from Scarred Prints, plus there's a discount link for 10% off a Nexus backpack, their new journal, or other products, and finally an email address for custom handcrafted items like pins, bottle openers, and stoppers, and even bowls made out of old bowling balls. So please hit the description before you get out of here and support the businesses and individuals that support me. Also take a look at my memberships, where for just $5 a month you can get all my videos early and ad-free. Comparing it to the Evoke, I think that the Onyx is definitely earlier and stronger. The back-end strength seems similar. I feel like the Onyx picks up harder, while the Evoke is a little rounder and takes a bit more time moving on the back end, but that's kind of splitting hairs to a certain degree. The evoke isn't clean by any means, but I think it's a little cleaner, and when it gets a little long or slow, the Onyx is going to pick up more firmly. You can also see the shape difference here too. The evoke is more of a rounder shape. I kind of think slower Jackal Ghost when I look at it. Now, it's popping pretty good for me on the back end here, but remember, everything's going to naturally be cleaner and sharper on the left side, less lane surface friction because of less use or less traffic. So if you're like, wow, my evoke doesn't move like that down lane, that's why. Moving next to the Venom Shock, it's also at 1000 grit, by the way. I know that that's not boxed, but that's where I started it at for me when I filmed this, so apples to apples on the surface here at least. I did mention it as a shape comparison earlier in the video, and obviously the Shock is quite a bit cleaner and weaker, a little sharper, but the overall shape of the ball roll to me is extremely similar. It's that very arcy roll that can be forward if you want it to, or be really continuous too, so huge ASIM Venom Shock would also fit as a descriptor. Sometimes it's important to keep the same shape as you're balling up or down, so if something rounder is fitting a certain center or a pattern, you're probably not going to want to ball down or up to something arcy or more hook set. And your game in general might like certain shapes better, so if you've historically gotten along with the Venom Shock, the Onyx is more like 2 or 3 balls up, but it slots in that same arcy directional shape category. Now, since I don't have the live comm at the end here, I'm going to pivot back to the Onyx for a minute to get a little deeper and talk about something I had gotten into on the live comm, and that's some hand position and physical adjustment items. After filming and moving around some, I went back to what I call the sweet spot, or where I typically play here, what's most comfortable. It's usually a little 15 to 6 or 7 swing. The trick that some people miss with heavier oil balls is that if they're being slow or lazy, it's usually because they're burning up or using too much energy too early rather than not hooking enough. Now, if you have a more medium strength ball like a Venom Shock that's going a little too long or not making the corner, you can slow it down, roll it a little bit more, put more revs on it, and it'll hook more and or finish stronger. It can be the opposite with stronger balls though. If they're too slow down lane and you try to juice them or make them hook more, they'll definitely start hooking earlier, but that means that they're just going to burn more energy faster and either still burn up or burn up worse. So with the Onyx, I focused on the opposite of that. I upped my speed, softened my hand, and dropped my rev rate so that I could get it through the fronts a little cleaner so that the ball would do what it does, but further down the lane, so that instead of having super early and slow, I'd have a little more hook and motion down lane, which helped the ball fit this pattern better for me, even though I still think it'd be better on a heavier and longer pattern in general. One last thing here, the before and after pictures. On the left, we have the post-drilling pictures, and on the right is after nearly 8 games of filming and nothing but a cleaning after I got home. It's not quite the same picture, but any other ball without Duramax is going to be pretty shiny after 8 games. So again, I was impressed with it on the Evoke. It's done well for Angel on the Sub-Zero, and it looks like the Onyx will be the same way. So if you typically get if you're used to putting a couple games on a ball to knock the dust off out of the box, you might actually have to change the surface yourself if the box surface is a little too much for you. Once again, the Jackal Onyx releases on January the 8th. Thanks again to Brett Spangler and Motiv for doing their part to make this happen, and if we do well here, maybe it can happen more often. This video was brought to you by Panda Bear Productions. We put the in bowling. Thanks for watching, and may the strikes be with you.